Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Quantum Session Wednesday morning edition. We are here pre-market, just kind of reading a little bit. So it looks like there was a nice strong uptrend all night. So I was just about to go over, right, these crossovers that kind of get played around, especially when you're at the daily high. Okay. This is where I get extra patient. Obviously, on the 1 and the 2, you could see the range. You can see the pinks and purples, right? This on the 2 minute, right? It did give you a little bit of a break here on this guy, right? We're at the current day high. This is where you want to be careful, and then using confluences helps, right? I have a soft box in play, so when I saw this break, I'm not fully sold on it. I'm not fully sold on it pushing. So far, it's resisting, right? So then we have a little push up, failed, right? This would have stopped you out. Then you have some more purple show up, right? So this would be our current range, which would be up here on the 1 minute. And then your blue guy, the solo blue guy, that's all the way down here. And now you get little stepping stones of levels here, okay? By the looks of it, this wants to keep going up. Now, what I'm looking at, right? I'm looking at the most recent cross, okay, on the higher time frame. Anytime a crossover flips, right, you think of it the exact same way that you think of the blues or purples, right? When a blue or purple candle get broken through, right? With the blues, the blue is support. When it gets broken through, we look for it to become resistance. Same thing with the purples. When the purples get broken through, right, and this is a resistance candle, you're looking at the resistance to start to turn support. Okay, same things apply with those crossovers. Okay, so always pay attention where there are multiple crossovers. Okay, like over here, right? There's a crossover at 41, at 40, and then again here at 39. So this whole little area, this whole 40 to 39 area, is an area where price is fighting, right? It's trying to hold on above or below that 40. Okay, so you're seeing these whipsaw action back and forth right now, back and forth, back and forth. Indecision, right? We're about an hour away. Do we have news? I don't know if we have news today, right? Might be waiting on that. So it's just bouncing around back and forth. Okay, same thing here on the 2 minute, right? Where did the previous crossover occur? Over here on the 2 minute was at 39.50. Okay, on the 5 minute, right, it occurred at 38.25. So this whole little 38.40 area, that's a whole little area where the price is fighting right now, right? What I want to see, right, if this thing is going to try to flip down, I would want to see the 5 minute start to close below that 38, right? If it's trying to cross down, if it's trying to come down, okay, I would want to see this here, right? You can see it, right, when it broke over. Okay, this happened over here. You had 1, 2 little points put for that push. Then it flipped. Now you can see the 5 minute candles are holding right above it. Okay, so now this went from resistance to support. So if I'm trying to catch a reversal, right, and I'm not chasing reversals, I'm obviously reacting to what I'm seeing in my candles, right? I would need that 5 minute to start to close below that for potential to come down. We have Nvidia earnings in the afternoon, right? Yeah, I know Nvidia earnings. Nvidia earnings always gives major moves in the afternoon, so it'll be interesting, right? Now, when I'm looking at this on my 1 minute, right, what do I piece it together with, right? Obviously, I have a big soft box in play here. If this continues to keep pushing through, right, it has room to go to 66. We got a level at 75, kind of my midpoint between my mid. This is kind of like my mid of soft box, the mid of the bottom of the top part, right? You have your top, and then you kind of have like a little kind of mini orb up here for me. Okay, so until this can try to hold over 45, right? I'm trying to see where the price might try to go, right? The next level is all the way at 175, 175. I don't have anything on the 5 minute. I have a couple of, I should change these to purple, a couple of purple barriers up there. All right, so we have a lot of room potentially to go up if this continues to go up. Okay, but again, right, what am I going to wait for? Right now, we are stuck between that 38 and these 46, basically. Let's say 46, right, where this 1 minute purple is, right? This is where it's stuck. So this is the current range. 1, 2, just going back and forth. You can see it clear as day. Right, between 39 to 46. Just 7 points. I don't like that. I'm not gonna try to play that at all. If it breaks 39, right, then it can start holding under 39. Then we might get stuck between 39 and 45. And then you want to see it break below that 128. If this thing is going to start to come down, right? 128, and then on the 2-minute, right, you also have that 133 and the 125. So you have a few little barriers to get through here if this thing wants to really flip. Then you have your trend at about the first level of the uptrend would be right here at 24 and a quarter. Okay, so 24 and a quarter. So this is what I'm looking when I'm looking at pre-market stuff, right? I'm gauging what the overall market has done. Absolutely, right? I obviously have sauce boxes in play and stuff like that as well, right? But I'm going to be looking what the price will do when it comes to test that first area of trend, right? And then when that volume kicks in, obviously that volume will kick in strong, right? This would be that first area of trend that lines up perfectly with a failed bullish candle, right? Bearish candle, right? Failed bearish candle, perfectly lined up. So now that 25 area, right? If it comes down there, then I want to see what the Dom is going to do. I want to see what the Dom is going to do, right? If New York breaks under 109, right, then it's going to challenge this top bottom part at 106. So this is kind of really tight, this secondary level. And if it breaks through this, right, then we have 2580 in play. Okay? So when I'm looking at when I'm looking at what New York might do at the open, I tend to look at my 5-minute for an overall kind of where the price might react. My 1 and my 2 are going to be my short term. You're going to get very large candles, so you want to be very careful trading New York opening because you're going to get humongous candles, big wicks, and you have to be extra patient. Right? There are instances where you're going to get a tight range where it might give you a decent setup for New York Open. It happens. How often does it happen? It varies, right? There's sometimes really nice, clean, super low risk signals in the morning. Then there's some instances where you'll get wicked, then it'll push that same direction. All right, here's a break, right? Here's your 2-minute buy signal. Let's see if this thing will continue to push up further, right? I have room for it to keep going, but this needs to retest and hold, right? I want to see it hold this 44. The DOM isn't really reacting at all, right? I'm looking at my DOM. It's not really speeding up. Now it's kind of starting to speed up a tiny bit. All right, so you're in this instance, right? We are at the current daily high. You still want to play caution, just because there could be like hidden little cells, or who knows what could be up there at the current high. I have no gauges. I have room. Obviously, we're right before 9:30. But if I'm still watching it, I'm still seeing okay, I'm still seeing the same setups. The stop loss right now will be either below 140 or below 139. You want to see this 2-minute level hold, right? You have your buy signal. You have a few confluences, your secondary break of a bearish candle. You have your 1-minute breaking that. You have your 5-minute that held that flip of that crossover beautifully, right? But it's not showing strength at all. Like there's no movement. There's zero volume right now. What's the ATR? Let's take a look what the ATR is. It's 5.77. That's crap ATR. You might wait a while for a potential move, right? So here, like if anyone tested that 38, from 38 to 49, there's 10 points, right? Would I have played that in this chop? Probably not. I would wait for this potential move right here. Okay. Let's see if this decides to push and make a newer high. I want to see if this starts to get these little spike wicks where you get like a push and then it kind of spikes down and then it kind of like does that little funky movement that this can push over. Let's take a look. All right, DOM isn't really moving at all. It's not moving at all. All right, it's tempting to go right now. There it goes. Look at that. See, there's that spiky. Look at that. That's that spikiness. Look at that. Like clockwork. Like clockwork. Anybody, can see the repetitive patterns over and over and over again. And when you get really comfortable reading this, you'll start seeing where the potential of those weird candles that you start to see throughout the day that you're like, what the hell was that? you can start kind of seeing where that might potentially happen. And you can see this here with the new and high. You see that push, right? That spiky push that I was telling you guys might happen. There it is, right? Oh, how did I know? Just because I've seen this over and over and over again, especially when you're at the current day high. Current day high. This is why these areas are super risky, right? It made a new high, right? But look at that spikiness. All right, same thing applies. Now you want to see it start to hold above this area. You want to see it start to hold above this 40, 44. This 2 minutes still has about a minute or so to go. And now it could just form another little range spot. Look at like this little tight ranges, right? Little tight ranges. Look, there it goes back to test that area. We're around a fib 2 Alaskan. See, even more confluence. What time we got? 8:15. So there's no news today or nothing. It's just crap ATR, right? The DOM did speed up down here. It did give me a little bit of a speed up and that pull up. So that 44 area looks like it has some volume in there. The DOM is starting to speed up a tad bit here. It's not moving much, so it's super dead. It's like super low volume. So I'm not getting like that good. There it is. There's it speeding up again. All right, there it goes. It's tapping into that 42 now. Let's see, right? Now we got a nice little wider 2 minute range, right? Now we have a clean 2 minute range to look at as well. 2 minute gave us a new little barrier up here at 53, and the bottom side would be at 40. Yeah, 40, right? This 40 area. And it's just gonna either chop around slowly and slowly make its way up like it's been doing for a while, looks like. You had this one big move here. You had a couple big moves actually right before. But it looks like right here, right? It's gonna look like potentially this, like chop, 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 little push, chop, 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 little push, chop, 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 and then a big push. Let's see what it's doing here. 2 minute is testing this bottom. Just level at 39. Again, that 5 minute crossover flip again at 39. They want to see if this 39 gives a reaction at all. Not really. Not really. DOM's still barely moving. It's barely moving. So there's just no volume right now. That's why the ATR is so low. All right. When would you check ATR and why? I would check the ATR when the candles are barely moving. Just because when it's a slow move, it's a slow bleed, you're going to get a lot of wicks. You're going to get a lot of wicks. And when it takes like 10 minutes to get 5 points, I'd rather not trade. So I will take a look at ATR there. I'm impatient. A lot of you guys know that, right? I want my trades to be like this. So if it's barely moving, it's not worth my time to just stare for like a 5 point move for 3-4 minutes. Right now, right, it gave you that nice push up, right? The break, that nice push up, right? If you want to get at 44, you almost got 10 points, and then that's it. It just gave you that weird spiky movement, right? Now it needs to hold 40. Now we need to see this area hold, and we need to see it continue to push and challenge this 2 minute at 53 again. If not, right, we got this 2 minute range. 2 minute range could get stuck until 9 o'clock. We have no news at 8:30. If we had news at 8:30, right, this would be the hesitation. If we had news at 8:30, it would be pausing here, waiting for 8:30. So usually when you have range, when I see like range after range, it's usually waiting for something. Like it's waiting for some sort of announcement, earnings, news, whatever it may be. That's the pattern I tend to see when it gets like this. When you see like weird choppiness. And then, you know, these the levels getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So Pat, right, you got, yeah, there's nothing major. President Lagarde speaks unemployment's at 130. No, there's nothing today. There's absolutely nothing. That's tomorrow. President Trump speaks 2 a.m. That was last night, I'm assuming. What ATR range would you say is a good price? Anything around 10 or higher. That's what I love to see. If it's like 7, it's okay, right? Usually, like 7, 8 is okay, but I don't like to see it 5 or below. 5, honestly, 6 or below. Below 6, it's just slow. Like, I'm not going to stare at my chart for a long time just to get 5-10 points. I'd rather not, but that's, that's me, obviously, unless there's a really nice clean setup. Last night wasn't too bad. There wasn't too much bad. Here's that test again at 38. The Dom is kind of reacting down here at 38. This is that area right here. So there is reaction at 38. That's the bottom of the range. Not a clean bounce there. There it goes. There is a little bit of a push. Still not, again, with low ATR, those pushes, they look weak to me. They look super weak. That went 38 right to 41, and it doesn't look strong enough for me to potentially try to take a test at that bottom side of that range. I will want to see a little more of a stronger push, a little more reaction down here. So we're attempting to break this at the 1 minute candle right here. We're attempting to break that 39. The 2 minute is also pushing. So that's what I'm taking a look. The Dom is barely reacting. So now if it can't break back above this, then it's going to sit for a potential push down. If it cannot pull itself back above that 39. So it's got about 8 seconds left. Look at that, pushing itself right there. Look at that. Last few seconds, it always does this, right in top of it. This is why I always wait for candle closure, right? Pushed up at the last second to close above it, and then it does another test, and still, right, didn't present me anything. I wouldn't be playing this. Now 34 will be next. If it comes down, I always wait for candle closure, even though it did. Let's see what the 2 minute does, right? The 2 minute is potentially setting up for a failed bullish move here as well. Then you would have this 33 area, and then you would have 26. This 5 minutes also would need to close underneath 38. And this 5 minutes still has about 3 minutes to go. This is where low ATR becomes annoying. Crude is at 10:30. I'm waiting for 8:30, 8:45. Those times actually get active, then 9:30. When you say the Dom's going crazy, I get confused because I don't quite understand. I look at mine and then it makes me panic. Well, when you're reading the Dom, you want to, be able to tell what the speed of the Dom naturally is. Okay, like if you go watch that video that was from that Wednesday where I actually showed a little bit of the Dom and what you're looking for, I give some clean examples of what the Dom's going. There was some reaction during that time where the Dom speeds up, right? Again, that's something I use for confluence. I use it around levels. I want to see what the Dom is doing at these areas. If I'm seeing it speed up and pull up in a strong manner, then I'm seeing a potential area for it to lift. And if I can match that with my chart, that's what I wait for with the candle closure. Or if I see like a strong whipsaw reaction and the candle looks, or not the candle, I'm sorry, the action lines look like they want to pull up at that area as well. So, if the Dom is making you panic, don't look at the Dom. Don't look at the Dom, right? It's not for everybody. That's just something I use as confluence. I've been reading the Dom for a very long time, since I've been trading. So let's see what this is doing now. We're getting a purple on the 5 minute here. This closes underneath 38. If this 5 minute cannot push itself back over 38, we might start getting a push down potentially here. And some of you guys said that there's a fib up here as well, so more confluence as well. And again, right, anything with soft spots and fibs for me would be a very big area of interest. I appreciate you, big homie. Thanks for doing this for us. Absolutely, B Moose. Which chart are you basing your ATR? What are your decisions? So I look at it on the 1 minute, right? Because I take all my trades off the 1 minute. So when I have the ATR, right, I'm just clicking it quickly just to take a peek. It's right down here at the bottom, 5.62. Right, below 6, not a big fan. Right, we got this blue guy right down here where it could bounce. Let me change that color. Let me put this down here. And that's what I'm, right now it's holding on to this 2 minute right here. All right, so you guys can see these little box progressions where it's going to potentially have little bounces. Right now it's on this guy right here. This is where it's paused. Now we're getting that little bleed through. And if it can close underneath that guy, right, the next one is down here. So I'm basing it always everything for me, right? Because I strictly trade entries off the 1 minute is going to be based off the 1 minute. Somebody in the quantum chat posted about a 15-minute signal. I don't trade anything above the 5 minute. I don't look at anything above the 5 minute. I look for continuation, like the quadfecta, right? Look at that 5 minute pushing up his last seconds. Look at that. This is always fun to watch. That 5 minute at the very last second pushed right up to 39 to test it. Right here, this 38. Look at that pull up. Now it's gonna close over. We might get the continuation push up now. This is what held, but the five closed above. We might just have re-entered the range too. This might just start ranging again. But this is again, right? Why I love to wait for candle closure. How many times have you guys noticed that happen? The last few seconds races up to close. That's why you wait for candle closures. I want to wait for that 5 minute to close below. It's always fun to tell to watch. It's very choppy, Schwab. It is very choppy. So the stop loss would be the breaking candle. Yes, the stop loss is always the breaking candle. Always. 5 minute held beautifully. Let's see what if it can rip through 46 again. Right, it needs to rip through these two levels. Right now you have that wick. Right, you want to see it rip. Right, you have that bearish candle right here. Right, this closure, if it closes above it, is not going to be a clean read. You want it to break those levels. I can get rid of this one now. That was already broken through. .5 minute held that 38 and raced back up. All right, Maestro. Also, you may want them to look at the performance settings of Trade-of-8 and wealth charts. This makes a huge difference in moving in wealth charts related to DOM. Yeah, I've actually tested both the DOMs side by side. Wealth charts moves pretty well. Does it move as well as Trade-of-8's? I would say there's a tiny noticeable lag, but it's not super significant for me when I put them side by side. Obviously, as you know, they continue to grow their data and everything, they'll get better and better and better. So you know, their stuff still, like, I like the way their chart candles move. You can actually see the candles going crazy on their charts, which is nice. Like the candles start doing that, and I've been looking at that for a little bit. Look at that rejection off that 46, still in a range. Also, you may want to. So that's something that, yeah, like I'm a big DOM user, so yes, I've been making sure I test that. Not quite a quantum question, Javi, but a knowledge question. On a few funded Apex 50K accounts, it says you must reach 52.6 to remove a stopping trail, but I read there's consistency rule of 30. Does the consistency rule play an effect after the stopping trail is removed? So the consistency rule will always stay in place, Juanito. That never gets removed. I don't know if you're talking about the 30% threshold. I don't know what Apex's consistency honestly is. But the consistency will never change. You get to that 52.6. If you know, my favorite, obviously Tradeify, right? They're straight to funded. The 20% consistency will never change, no matter how much you make, no matter what part of the buffer or anything that you're at. Absolutely, Juanito. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution, not an ICT, but makes so much sense. I mean, if it makes sense to you, sure, like that's the beauty of trading, right? I'm never gonna hate fully. Like, we make fun of ICT, we do. But we make fun of it because of the terms, right? The terms that people use is just kind of like they're everywhere. But we have Llama and freaking Izzy, right? Who are insanely amazing ICT traders. The best traders in the world tend to be ICT traders too. But it's just they find patterns that work for them, right? The IFGs, FEGs, whatever you can piece together, right? I have my candles, right? I have the quantum candles and the levels, right? That's how I use my things, right? I look for my repetitive patterns, but I don't have like inverse to the inverse to reverse to the triverse, right? I have the same repetitive 4 setups, 5 setups that I look for over and over and over again. So if it doesn't work, it usually doesn't work just because either the market doesn't want to give it to me today, or I missed something like small somewhere, news, something like that. But like, it's not, I'm not gonna have like another term for something to make up for something else, right? But again, right, if it works, it works. There's no hate for me on any trading style or any traders. I want everyone to succeed, no matter what it is that you found. Found an edge, finding something with ICT, go for it. Like, go for it, right? If you find an edge being a breakout trader, go for it. If you found an edge, doing whatever you're doing, go for it. I will never hate on traders, period. Right? I make fun of the names and things because there's like a bunch of different names for terms with ICT, which, you know, that's the only thing that I'm just like, wow, there's a name for everything. What is that? Look at data refresh speed option. Yes, I have mine at fastest. I do have mine at fastest. I did notice that when I first popped it open into the settings because I was pressing everything. So yes, I do have that at the fastest. Can you mark up a sauce box so I can clear? I'm doing it correctly. Sam, that is a student question. That is something that we're going to go over tomorrow. Or Friday. I'm sorry, Friday. Friday, you can ask me to do that again. Remember, Sam, we're in the quantum session, and we don't go over, you know, saucebox stuff here. This is only quantum stuff. Look at this ugly range. Now we're gonna get another blue break back into this one. 5 minute. Again, testing the candle closed, and again, it's testing this 38. Big pullback. Ugly range, just ugly. Let's see what it does. It's breaking through. I mean, it's saucebox rejection though. Honestly, the saucebox rejection play was still clean for me. And again, some of y'all said there's a fib up here. I haven't drawn the fibs because I don't have, right. If you guys have P2P, let's take a look. Right. If you guys have P2P, why not? Because I'm a big advocate for where's my P2P? What the heck? Where's my That was weird. The trend was up. And it's all the way down there. If we reverse it, what does it look like? The 236. Ooh, the 236 was there. I didn't see it. Yeah, so this is a big area for me. The 236 and the and by sauce box. I would have definitely been eyeballing the shorts from there. Oh, that's quantum settings. Oh my gosh, I gotta move this back up. Hold on, guys. My thing got all messed up. I don't know why it took off my P2P here. All right. Oh yeah, this is a huge area for me. Look at this, guys. Okay, a little teaser on things that I look for, right? 236 right here with the sauce box. That's a big rejection zone for me. I should have had that on, but again, this is quantum session. But you know what? Doesn't never hurt sneaking in, because I use P2P religiously. I have for the longest time. It's one of my favorite confluences to have with my sauce box and the quantum aligned. It is always a nice free play. 43, look at this, from 43 all the way down to 28. Dang. All right. Absolutely, Juanito. Look at the data refresh. Okay, ICT, your sauce box matches the fib, so there's something there. You saw it, Emma. That's what I'm telling you guys. When I have these the three alignment, there's our sell signal on our. We happened a couple times, right? It's telling me this thing wants to go. Right? There's that huge break up 38. Look at that meltdown. Right? You guys are seeing it in person. This would I would have gone. I would have YOLO'd here. I would have YOLO'd so hard there if I had it on. But all right, and I got a YOLO more apparently. Not financial advice. All right. I made a lot of money last year, and apparently I should have burned some accounts so I can have more tax write off. Not financial advice. Just something I could have had more fun, basically. 30% of your payout profit amount trailing at 30% separate. If you have 30,000 payout, then you could not have made more than 900 in any one day leading up to that. That is all it is. If you have made more than 900, then you just need to make more profit until that 900 is not more than 30% of the total you're taking out. I didn't know that swap. There you go. I will do my best to be careful. I just have quantum and PHP, so I'm worried I'll land a big trade and just not be able to withdraw. I should just reach that buffer root. Yeah, like that was a good explanation from Swab there for that Juanito, right? Just don't aim for more than 900. It should be smooth sailing. You can't DCA or scale in on Apex, so I got to look for like specific trades on that. All right, looks like this last candle at 25 currently held. Look at that right there. The 2 minute, the 1 minute was a tippy tip break. And you can kind of identify where the potential bounces are going to be. Now you want to see if it's going to reject 39. You want to see that tappy tap. And then you want to see it reject that 39. The DOM is finally moving. It is finally moving. 8:30, we finally got to move. The DOM is speeding up finally. Now it's moving the way I want to see it move. It's not just going these little tiny, no, it's actually moving now. It's flowing nicely. All right. Big dumper. You said you use Llama's fibs for right now, rejection off of it in combo with quantum. Yep, in combo with quantum and Saucebox. This is my holy grail area right here. This is where I would look for, I would have been eyeballing shorts heavy around this area. Like, as long as it kept rejecting. Obviously, I had a few little things looking up like it wanted to. But then I can eyeball where my pauses are going to be, right? If this can continue to break under 28, right? I want to see that 2 minute break underneath actually this 25 right here. Then we get some more push. But this is where it held. This lines up with a blue candle and a failed bearish move, and that's where we're bouncing right now. But what I want to see, right? If I really want to see this continue, right? I want to see it stay underneath this 38. Okay, I want to see it reject this right here, this 39. Next, I want to see it break that 25. And that 25 would be that probably area for the top of the that failed bearish move here, the first level of trend, right? There's a bunch of little things, that blue 2 minute candle. There's a bunch of little things there that needs to break next, and we'll get more push. P2P and quantum work so well together. Yes, they do. I'm in Llama's morning stuff. I'm not in it right now because we're here, but I'm usually there. Like, if I'm not here, I'm there. When he's in the morning, I'm there because I like to see what they see, and if I see their areas and all their other stuff with Saucebox, and I'm looking at, I'm like, yep, I see it. You guys got to watch us trade together during that 1 power hour, and we got into the exact same trades. Like, that's how much it lines up. There was no question, right? Yesterday, when I was reading through, because we were out, I wasn't home. I was reading through the chat. He caught the long and the short. I caught the long and the short too. You guys see it over and over, and I know that a lot of the P2P gang that's in here sees it as well. And then my students, right? My students that have Saucebox and the P2P stuff, they know what these areas have the potential to give. I've noticed this too, Javi. For some reason, it's super random. TradingView takes off indicators no matter whose it is. That is weird. That's really weird. That candle looks so big. Then I measure them. Yeah, smart. You measure. Like, you can measure them when they look big, right? But right now, this one is not that big. It's just because the ATR was so low, 43 to 34. That's not even a 10-point candle. It just looks huge. Right, here's that push up to 38, right? You're rejecting back down to 28, right? This is where it's stuck right now. Right, it needs to break that bottom area, that 25 area really needs to break. Right, this was a tippy tip break, so this bottom of that 28 on the 1 minute is still technically in play as well. And look, another blue. We're just stuck in this range right now. But ideally, you want to see it stay below that 38. This 5 minute needs to continue to close below 38. It's just stuck right here. It's just stuck. I've noticed too. Okay. On your 1 minute, you have a line at 25,146. I do not. 25,146. Up here. That's the 2 minute, right? If you don't have it, right, check your settings. Okay, and I have these pinned in the quantum chat. Okay, I have these pinned. right? My 2 minute, I have the 2 minute right here is my dotted lines, right? You don't have to have them on if you don't want to, but that's what these are. If you don't have that on, you will not see them, right? Or if you have it on a different time frame. But this is what I have. The 1 minute is my dashed. The 5 minute are my solid. My 2 minute is my dotted. And that's that little 146 that you see right there, right? And if you go to the 2 minute chart, right, there it is, right? On my 2 minute chart, I have it set to dashed. And there it is, right there, 146. That's what that is. I have a short video in the pinned message in the Maestro Grand chat. All right, there you go. Thank you, Swab. I'm realizing this. I might have them on a. I'm realizing this. I might have them as base hit accounts because I really feel like Lucid has been a whole lot easier to understand. Oh, I love Lucid, Juanito. Like Lucid, there's every prop has rules. Okay, every prop has rules. Apex has their rules. They're probably one of the most well-renowned, oldest right props that exist currently that are still have just been here for a long time. Right, they have the rules. They paid out so much, so you know that they are legit. But you go for the company that has rules that fit you. As simple as that, right? Apex is more of a one and done kind of prop. I struggle with that. I'm trying to like get better at that. I have like 6 PAs I barely touch because of that. The Dom's going crazy up here at this 38. The Dom is going really crazy. This 5 minute still has a long time to close. This is where we might get stuck until 9 o'clock. I want to see what 9 o'clock will do. But we could retest this area. There it goes. All right, could retest that level up here. This whole candle up at 143. There, just went to it right now. But that 5 minute has a lot of time, right? If this can close over 144, 143, then we'll get another pump up. But right now, I want to see what it does up here. Look at that, rejecting again. Hard rejection. But that 5 minute needs to continue to close underneath 38. It needs to continue to close underneath 38. If it starts to hold 38 here for this last 3 minutes, it's not gonna be ready to come down. All right, back below 38. All right. This is recorded, Naked Flames. Naked Humphleys. Naked Flames. Naked Humphleys. All right. Is this a session? FFF bank. Yes, FFF has some of the best freaking sales. I bought some backups I have 4 fundeds already. I bought backups just because they were $60 fucking dollars. Like $60 freaking dollars, guys. And the resets, and I was gonna YOLO them, but I'm so close to. I've already gotten a couple payouts out of one account. I'm about to get a couple payouts out of the other accounts. And I'm like, you know what? No, I don't want to YOLO those. I want to get my payouts first. I try to get my payouts first, and then I'll have a little bit of fun. All right. Wait, I didn't know you couldn't scale in, so you can't add in units. You can DCA scale in, but they have a few rules of that, like keeping a 1 to 5 risk at the most, or something like that, and not risking more than 30% of your account. Yeah. You have to be careful with Apex and read the rules carefully. All right, DCA are scaling in. Evals are there are no rules yet. No rules on eval. You can YOLO evals. Maestro, I'd PHP to those two, and it gives more confluence. Yeah, it does. Maestro, one of the things I do for my chart as well for those struggling with ATR is I set my point range at 5 points between levels, and then I can quickly see if the candles are actually moving or if it is chop crap and not worth time. Yeah, that's a smart idea, Schwab. That's actually a very smart idea. I have to say this might be the worst interpretation of a rule I've ever seen. All props have the same rule depending on the account size you are capped at the amount of contracts you're allowed to trade. That's again, right? Everyone has their little verbiage of rules. Yeah, see now see over 10 we complicate. Both A plus setups would have given TP. Yes, they would have. Both would have. This pushed up really fast, and then this one obviously gave a little bit of a pull down, but just the range getting a little bit wider. It's just telling you this is where it's stuck. It's just stuck right here. It's barely moving, right? You could scalp the bottom and the top a little bit for the time being until this area gives. Right on my 2 minute, I actually have a little bit of a funky looking Orbi orb, but I have one, right? You guys know how I love to draw out my, my little orbs, right? I have it right here. Look, top, mid, bottom, right there, right? We have a level right here at 34. Have a level up top at 46, right? On the 1 minute, it's a little more scattered. It's all over the place. It's very undecisive. Look at it, just fighting back and forth, right? But if you zoom out, right, it's slowly downtrending here, right? You guys want to go the Tory way, draw your little lines, right? You can see the downtrend, or you can use the wicks, however you guys want to draw these out, you can draw them out, right? You can see it's still slightly downtrending, and we want to have confirmation of that, right? How do we use confirmation? By the blue candles breaking continuously. You want to see continuation breaks of blues for the continuation of the down push. And that's where you can confirm your flip a trend, right? That's how I use it. That's how I confirm my flip a trend. Don't you have monthly fees on all of them? I don't think so. No. Like every prop has monthly fees until you get funded. Once you get funded, right, you either have activation fee or no activation fee. Once you pay that activation fee, your funded account, you don't pay a thing anymore. And that's a part of that. You don't want to race, right? Don't race. Once you have a funded account, don't race to it. Take your time. Like you're not paying anything a month anymore. So like, what's the rush? In other words, you cannot YOLO pro count. Yeah, you can't YOLO on. Max, I think a few times he accidentally went in heavy on contracts because he didn't know he was on those accounts, and they got immediately liquidated because you can't go too heavy. I've never tried to YOLO a PA, so I'm pretty sure if I went full cons on a PA, it'd be instantly liquidated. Grand Rising, Quant was eating last night. That's awesome. That's awesome. Look at that, right back. Look at that wick right back up to 44. Hard rejection again. Look at these wicks. These wicks are crazy right now. This 5-minute candle again failed to close above 38. That 38 is that middle stomping ground right now. So what I'm going to be looking for on the 5-minute is potentially that 38 holding and then breaking of that 44. But this is right now is rejecting this area heavily. And I want to see these blues get broken. I want to see this blue get broken at 35 again, and then I want to see that bottom 28 and then 25 get broken. Then we might see continuation down push. But damn, these wicks are wild right now. Look at that one's now up here. This range is actually like kind of funny. It's actually not that bad of a range, honestly. That's all right. You can YOLO TPT alpha. Yep, you can YOLO those. What ATR indicator use? Just a regular ATR. Dodge City, right? You go in here, just type in ATR. It's that very first one. This one right here. That's what I use. And then it's hidden in the chart, right? If I double click anywhere, it appears right there. So now it's at 6.10. So it's slowly creeping up. There's volume kicking in, little by little. Lucid London, only pay over sexy fast code. Yeah. Oh yeah, and if you guys want to YOLO FFFs, right? That's why I thought about it, but then I was like, nah. Right? The resets on FFF are like $30, which is kind of fun because you could pass them in one day if anybody has that bread, right? You can reset an account for $30. Not financial advice. I want to make that clear, right? But again, those sales vary. So at the current moment, that's what they were at, which is like awesome for YOLOers, I guess. You can pass an account in one day. You have that kind of bread. But I have my fundeds already, so I'm not doing that shit. This is the only pay resets in account. Coming down to 25.080. Not yet. It's still in this range. It's still stuck. Look at that. Now we got a blue on the 5-minute. So now we're getting a potential clear range on the 5. But if this thing closes over 44, we're going to continue to get some push up, I think. But this 5-minute has to close well above it. It cannot be just a little bit of a break. It has to be a good break. Right? This 5-minute has to close well above that area. Let's see if it gets a push. Right, that 46 as well on the 2-minute. This 5 minute is giving me a potential wider range now. This gives a wider range. Oh, 38 seconds. It's trying to push up. Let's see. Dom is not really reacting up here. There's a pull down. Looks like it's struggling to get back underneath 38. It's got. All right, but we have to break that 44. It's not going to close above it. Now we're going to get stuck in. Now in the 5 minute, kind of have a little Orby Orb too. Between 44, 38, and then 32. All right, there we are. Chop Central. Chop Central. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But you can clearly see it. Like, the beauty is that you can clearly see it. Like, you can clearly see where the resistance points are, where the tops, where the mid and the bottom are. Why is the market not dumping before New York? It's probably waiting for New York. It might be waiting for New York. I don't know. Like, this is just hesitant to do anything right now. It's in this funky range. Look at this. Right? This is what I look at. Look at this. From 7:30, it's been in this range up until right now, almost 2.5 hours. Almost 2.5 hours of just chop in this area. Five minutes getting stuck on above 38. Again, the longer it holds above 38, this 5 minute cannot pull back underneath it. They might want to push up a little further. Above here, what do we have? Like, other than my level, and we have the 786 all the way up here. My next soft box is way up there, but this is a big one it needs to get through. But this is the range right now. Yeah, see? That top 46 area, bunch of rejection points. But you want to see this get back below. If it's gonna go down, it needs to start getting back below 38. For the time being, it looks like it wants to give another push. Right, maybe to retest that 53. We might retest this 53 up here. We might. It needs to still break over 46. But let's watch right now. Right, this is what range looks like. This is what chop looks like. Right, you have back and forth, back and forth. This gave right here a failed bearish move with the retest and everything too. It's just tight. 38 to what? What did it give you? 46. Didn't even give you 10 points. Your risk on this one would have been. I gave you your 1 to R, 6 points. So you got 6 points. But that's it. It's still stuck inside here. Right, 2 minutes still fails to hold above its 44 as well. Right, you got that 44, 43, 75 on the 5. This is where it's trapped. Been trapped there for an hour and a half. An hour and a half. I couldn't see fast enough the name of the ATR that's hidden on your screen. Oh yeah, absolutely, I can show it again. Just ATR. It's literally just ATR and it's average true range. Average true range. Right there. That's what it is, Snow Tree. That's what I use. And just double click. Right, it'll show up and ATR drop a tiny bit. Some divergence in levels between ES and NQ. Right, I don't use ES. I prefer SPX. But let's take a look. Right, let's take a look at what ES is doing. ES to me doesn't flow as nicely as SPX. You get a lot more funkiness of candles. And a lot more gaps that are just, they don't make sense to me at least, but you know, it is what it is right now. Let's see, ES. It's definitely showing strength. In NQ, actually NQ is showing strength. I'm sorry, NQ is just showing strength where it's at. But there it goes, right? There's that rejection off that, again, right? This is the range. If I was degen mode, I'd be scalping the shit out of that 46 until it breaks. But yeah, there's mad divergence. You're right. ES and NQ look completely different. NQ is showing more strength. NQ is hanging out while SPX has been slowly dropping. There comes NQ again. Potential if this can pull down further for that to trigger. Nope, not ready. Look at that. NQ is definitely showing some strength. 5-minute testing that 43 area again. 5 seconds. Will it close above it? Ooh, it's right there. It's going to close above it. It might try to give one more push here if it can stay above that 43. We're going to get that push to 53 again here. Look at that. There it goes. There's that 43 push. Right on the money. Oh, look at that. I just caught that. I just caught that. Let's go. Look at that. Boom. All right. This is how I avoid. Right. I caught that little push up. 44. The 5-minute closed above. There's your push. Went to test 43. I got 2 runners going. I'm going to get one out here just because this area is close to that level at 65. But let me see if my last one can go. Look at that. Rejected the fib a couple times. Once that 5-minute closed above that 43, that was it. That was it. Like a 5-minute break. There it goes. Look at that. Look at that. Getting close to that midline of sauce box. So that's where I would look for a potential next rejection point. Okay, I'm going to trail a little bit closer. I'll take this gladly. Almost a 20-some point trade on my runner. Quick, almost $300. Right there, guys. Look at that. Oh, there it is. There's the midline of sauce box. If it can break through, we might touch that 75 maybe. But look at that, right on the money. See that rejection? Look at that. Boom, I got trailed out right there. Got trailed out. I'm happy with that. Okay. Look at that. Rejection off the mid of sauce box. There you go. $2.99. Quick $2.99 right there. Let's see what the risk was on this. All right. I entered, around 46. My stop loss would have been 37, less than 10 points. Look at that. 20-point trade, less than 10-point risk. And you just have to wait. You just had to wait. Why was entry there, Passion? 5-minute break of the purple. Right? Right here. That was super low risk too. This was the break. Closed above. Stop loss would have been down below 38. Okay, remember 38 being an area. And then explosion. Failed bearish move. On the 5-minute, tends to be pretty strong. Now we have, what is it doing now, right? The 2-minute, right? Now you want to see if it can hold above that 53. This, if this would be a play on the 2-minute, right? This whole freaking candle will be your stop loss on the 2-minute, which would be a very big one. I would not play that. The 5-minute was super low risk. That's the only reason I entered on that. I was already eyeballing the bottom of that 38. So I know if it can hold above 38 and if it breaks above that 43, that's all it needed. Now, clean rejection off the mid of saucebox, guys. So, showing off saucebox a little bit for the quantum gang, but this is how I use it. Right? Look at that clean 65, right? That's where I trailed out. We're now down 15 points from that. Right? If it broke midline of saucebox, 175 would have been next. Just kind of showing you guys my confluence is all lined up. Do you only wait for closes above? Yes, I don't know. I wait for closes above candles on any time frame. Period. Right on the 5 minute, when you have a purple, a purple or blue candle on the 5 minute, you have to wait for that 5 minute on those. Period. Right. The time frames align. Okay. So if you're playing, right, if you're gonna play a close on the 1 minute, you have to wait for the 1 minute to close, right? Right, like this, right? You would have gotten stopped out on that one. But you want to. Oh, this is why multi-time frame analysis is important to me, because just because I have one on a purple on the 1 minute, right? I still want to see what my 2 minute has. Does my 2 minute have a purple barrier where it might reject? I want to be able to line those up, and that's going to tell me where the chop zone is going to be. I don't want to get caught on trying to play along here if I have a purple on my 2 minute. That could potentially be a resistance point as well, or levels, right? There was a level at 46, right? That level at 46 is what held it down, right, before it finally broke. And that's what you want when you have a big range, when you have a true range, like a very choppy range, you're going to see these candles appear on all the time frames, right? Like this, right? Look at the 5 minute. The 5 minute doesn't form these very often, but when it's super chop and range, you're going to see a ton of them, okay? A ton of them, right? Super chopped on the 5 minute, right? And it's not super often when you have no chop. You're going to see a lot of instances where there's not much. Okay, there's going to be far less on the 5 minute, right? No purples here, right? Here's kind of one right here. Here's another one, right? Here's another one, and then here, right between 12:45 and about 7:40, there was insane little chop movement here until you got up here, right? No blues here, so no range. Kind of had a little range right here, then another one, then some more. So a lot of range right here between, let's say, 11:05 and almost 3 in the morning. Ugly 5 minute range. Then again here, right, between 3:50 in the morning and about 6:20 in the morning, right? Ugly chopping range right there. And then we had a little bit of one right here, right? But this is in a range, right? Because the blue broke the purple. Once that purple gets broken, that's a failed bearish move immediately, right? And you saw the same move. Right? This is the nice back and forth, right? None of these two candles broke each other. That's a clean ass range for me. Right? I got the bottom wick of a blue, the top of a purple. That's my range. There's your break. There's your move. Right? Oh, what did the 2 minute do? Look what the 2 minute did. Right? Again, risky. Why? Because you're playing this whole breaking candle. Okay. So this whole candle right here broke these two bearish candles right there. Right? There's the retest, right? Your stop loss would have been right there at 38 again, right? 38. This was about a 11, 12 point stop. You got your 12 points. You got your 1-to-1 right there. You got in at the bottom part, right? If you got in at 53, you still got your 10 points. Stop loss would have been down there. Still rejecting the sauce box, right? So here's where I would be like, okay, now we have our little chop zone here for now, right? Between 66 and let's say 40, 48, right? This bottom here is 50 actually on the blue. 5 minute is trying to cross up. SPX also, let's see what SPX is doing, or ES, right? ES. It just broke through a bunch of these candles too. All right. That candle broke through. It already tested the whole thing, pushed itself back up. Now you have a secondary breaking candle, which will be this one. You want to see it kind of hold above that area. But you want to be cautious at, the current day high. Where can we learn about your sauce box? I hear this often. It is in my I coach about it, Sharkbiter. This is something I coach. This is something that I teach my students. I asked about your entry last night, and you were mentioning the break level just now. Are you using the 5 minute more for your entry than the 1 minute? No, I use whichever time frame sets up a low risk trade at Schwab. So if the 5 minute is giving me a failed bearish move, right? I already know the candle that can potentially give me. I was eyeballing this candle, right? If this candle closed above 46, I immediately looked at the bottom, right? Where would my stop loss be? 37. So I was already eyeballing like a 45, 44 entry potentially. I got in at 46. So that's what I was looking at, right? Whichever time frame gives me a low risk entry, right? That's why the 1 minute is my favorite entry point, because the 1 minute is going to give me the lowest entry. But I want to still have everything aligned. So if I don't want to get caught in a potential chop. So when I saw that 46 break, I was gunning for that 53. I wasn't expecting it to blow right through it like it did. All right. Now we got a failed bullish move play here, right? Nice sell signal here, but where does it have room to go, right? Where does it have room to go? It has room to potentially go to that 43. That's only 6 points. Not enough for me to test that. I want to see if this is going to be a potential failed bullish move, or I'm sorry, a failed bearish move. Let me get rid of these now. I'm going to get rid of those. Only have this and this. This can go as well. Got a little blue guy right here. Got this guy right there. So you got a little bit of areas to potentially have it hold. We got a 2-minute, big purple. The only reason I'm not ready for shorts, right? I don't like the way the 5-minute looks right now. The 5-minute looks like it's trying to still push up. If like I was eyeballing a market short, I want to see it like start breaking underneath that 125. That 125, and then we might get and then if we have pushed through 115. But this is a stack level. This is not a stack level. That's a fib right here. So 115 would be just a solo 1-minute level, and then we could get a push through to that 2580 area where there's also a 236. Okay, there's a 236 and a stack level down here at 2580. So this is where I would look for if we're gonna get a push down to come in, right? It needs to break back under 38, then make its way back under 25 to break through. We'll see what the market open looks like. But the 5-minute looks like it wants to give a push still to me. Right? To me, this 5-minute still looks like it wants to cross up first, and then once we get that cross up, right? This is where the kind of the lines try to calibrate, right? Because they want to cross. Okay, like that's the thing. When they look all funky, they want to cross, and they kind of need to cross eventually. So it's either gonna try to cross up first, or it's gonna kind of like get all ugly looking again, like it did over here. It's gonna get all funky looking, then it'll do a cross, and then if the down continues, then it'll cross down. It'll break through it if that cross up is not strong. Hopefully that makes sense. That's a little bit more like, if you guys are looking for the action lines to calibrate, right? Because I want them all to kind of flow the same way. Right? I want my 1, my 2, and my 5 to all flow the same way. So if I'm looking at my 5-minute right now, right, the 5-minute wants to cross up, while my 1 and my 2 are trying to cross down. So this is making the 5-minute action lines look completely off, like completely off. There's ugly separation. To become your student, do I have to book a coaching session? Yes, Lindsay. To become a student, you have to book a coaching session. And then I am doing at least 2 monthly group coaching sessions. I'm trying to keep it at 2 monthly. I know my time may vary here and there, but I want to get more involved with my students as well. I've done more quantum sessions than I've done student sessions, and I want to kind of flip that. I will always do my weekly quantum session, so I'm not going to flip it completely because quantum is like the core of my strat, and then I have major confluences like Saucebox. I also teach, right? I also teach some of the max confluences I use. And if you are a P2P student, right? If I confirm that you're a P2P student, I go over the parts of P2P that I use, right? And on the discussion points when we have, if you have the P2P indicator, right? I use the 786236 on those religiously. To become do we talk about HVL? What's HVL candle in here? What's a HVL candle, prime time? High volume? Is that what you're talking about? Like this is just quantum stuff, but talking about torta candles? To become your student, I gotta bounce off 236. Yeah, holding off right now. Right now, you want to see that failed bear this ring, right? If the uptrend is going to continue, what's the next potential move? A failed bearish move, right? The 5 minute is trying to cross up. This is what I'm telling you. I'm not so fully sold on the short just yet because this 5 minute wants to cross up. It needs to calibrate itself. There it goes. Look at that. See? And this is where I wait. I play the waiting game. Like, would I have played that? If I was degenning, maybe. Right? I would have played that knowing that this wants to cross up, but sometimes it just doesn't. Sometimes, especially before the market opens. But there's that push up, right? Wasn't ready for a push now. Look at that. Boom. Oh my God. See? It's trying to cross up. I'll tell you, pay attention to these lines, right? These lines are unique. They form the levels. Quick $60 Shang, there you go. You can really read the market with these. Like, you can really read it. Oh my gosh, what is this volume coming in? It's 910. This is one of the macros. Look at that. Go, Alaskan. Hey, Lindsay, my wife spells her name the exact same way. Never seen anyone else for real. Is like Bookmap. It's like Roadmap, actually. It's the first time I get. Oh, really? That's interesting. I've never heard about that. Okay, that helps clear up a lot. Actually, I was caught a little in the chop trying to anticipate like I should not do yet. Never anticipate. I did not maximize returns on the move. I will make a note and work on this. Good job, Schwab. Make notes. Always make notes. That's all right, Dot City. Right. This is a whole strategy. Remember, guys, this isn't just a run of the mill, any typical indicator, right? If you you don't have to watch every single one of my YouTube videos, right? Oh my goodness, look at that thing run. That 5 minute level locked in and it exploded. That 5 minute, look at that. Here's that 5 minute level at 52. Right? There's that cross up. There's the explosion. 75 getting hit right now. Then the 2 minute needs to break through that. And then we might get top of sauce box here. Break top of sauce box and we might get that fib up here at 786. We might. Right. So the best YouTube videos to watch, the 13-minute video is a really nice one explaining entry points and stop loss points. The back testing one's another really good one to watch. And then after that, I would say the manual video, right? Get the general rule of the crosses and the candles, right? Go over all of the pages on the manual and I kind of give my 2 cents and my explanation on them while going over, little touch points there. Those are the three I would recommend for somebody trying to really learn it. But this is a whole strategy. Remember that. We have specific setups we look for, right? It's not just the signals. Everyone's always like, it's the signals, take the signals. No, right? I know how to avoid bad signals, right? You have decent signals, you have bad signals, right? Why did I say I didn't want to take this one, right? I don't have much room down. On top of that, right, the 5 minute is trying to cross up. So I want to see what? A failed bearish move. And you saw the explosion off of it, right? It just did its thing, right? 2 minute did its thing over here too, but now we're stuck where? The next level up. And you can see where these rejection points might be, right? Where the pauses might be. And if you pair it together with something like the DOM, where you could really see the reactions around those areas, right? Add some confluence, right? If the rejection is strong, okay, that's going to be a strong area to potentially hold. If the rejection is weak, right? If it pulls up and it barely pushes down, then that level is showing some signs of weakness. And then you want to kind of see what the next couple candles may do. So again, Dodge City, I'm here every week, bro. Like, you're gonna see me every week. As long as you guys have quantum, you see me every week. I'm doing these sessions every freaking week. You guys can ask me all your questions. I try to go over every question. We got about like 10 minutes or so before we gotta, hop over to the morning show. Okay, that helps clear that. Okay, 5 minutes. Trying to explode and it exploded. I'm considering Logan's course as well. Can you give any insight on Logan? I mean, you guys watch him Power Hour, right? We both play off each other a lot, right? Pause, right? Like I'll catch the early entry, he'll catch the continuation. He's a breakout trader. I'm kind of like a scalper with trades that turn big with the runners, right? That's where my big plays come from, is my runners. So we have a little bit of a different style, right? I can find multiple setups throughout multiple different scenarios. With like, some other trading styles like Llama, things you have to be extra patient, right? Logan and Llama style, you might have to be a little more patient. He has a little more strict criteria. So it depends what you fit into, like what fits your style, right? Are you kind of out of the box, right? Is your schedule all over the place where you can't catch those big momentum, quick breakout moves between 9:30 and 10 or at market opens, right? Like last night, there were so many setups. Like within the first 3 or 4 hours, there was like 4, 5, 10, 12, 13 setups, right? And you just have to mind your risk, okay? Right? Something with any strategy, always respect your stop losses, mind your risk, right? Keep an eye at your sizing, right? In the quantum chat, you guys can go check out, right? My sizing, exactly how I size depending on risk. If you go to the quantum chat, look for the rules on the quantum challenge. Everything's in there at exactly how I size my 50Ks. Okay, and if you guys want to multiply it per account size, right? Just multiply, right? If you're on 100K, just multiply by 2. If you're on a 150K, multiply by 3. If you're trading a 25K, divide in half. Dang. Alaskan rode that baby all the way up. That was no MLC Kendall. Look at you, Sema. Way to go. We need to hear that sometimes, Javi. Being patient is key. Power hour is for entertainment. Exactly, Dan. Being patient is very key. On that push move, would you have entered once it's breaking the purple candle? No. I want to wait for the break and retest. Like this was just a violent break. Just a violent break. There was no retest. This did not give me an entry. The potential entry on this, right? And if you guys, those of you that were at the live, okay, right? The trade I took at the end of the power hour, right before MOC even hit, okay, that long was literally a 5-minute level locking in. Like what you just saw, right? The explosion of that was literally that. It was just as long as this can close above 52, I'm liking the long, right? That's what I was looking at during that live, right? The short that I took at the live right before the show, even like the first 6 minutes, was a soft box play. If you guys look at the chart, I think Logan and we collaborated on that post, right? I was already in the trade on that short. If you guys look at my chart in the beginning, you'll see why I got into the short. You'll see the breaking candle. You'll see that stop loss was that breaking candle. It was literally a 7-point stop loss trade for a 50-point drop. And then on that pop up that ended up running for almost 100 points at the end of that live show, it was also a 7-8 point stop loss for that push up. And those were insane trades that I was able to call out in front of 600, 700 people live, which was ridiculous. It was an amazing experience. And you can see on my chart, you see the sauce box short, and then you'll see the 5-minute level push up. I don't know if we posted the long one yet. I don't know if we have it up there. But it was freaking amazing. I was just on cloud nine that day. Absolutely, guys. Thank you for putting in time. Absolutely, Simi boy. Like I want everyone to be able to see the tool that we have here. Like this is literally what helped me. Right? Oh look, we're getting the breaks. Look at this. Now we're getting the push. Right? Remember what I told you guys? It's trying to calibrate. Right? The cross up to cross down. You guys remember that? Right? I know I made a lesson on this not that long ago, but that video probably got buried, and I might need to do it again. Where it's trying to calibrate. The action lines, right, will calibrate, and then you have the trifecta, not really a trifecta. Let me correct this. You have the 3 lining down now, right? You have the 1 minute crossing down, the 2 minute crossing down, now the 5 minute crossing down, right? Now, what did I say, right? What do I want to see it to do? I want to start seeing it break underneath 25. If this thing is going to continue down, you need to start seeing these blues start to break. You want to see it stay underneath. You don't want to see it break any more purples. You just want to see it start to break down the blues. It needs to break back down under 33, then crack back down under that 25 area, then 110, and so on and so on and so on. I got in due to the bounce on the fib. There you go. How many wicks? Yeah, it was a lot of wick bounces. Yep. And then the 5 minute locked in and push. So it was beauty. Is a trifecta 3? Yeah, the trifecta is gonna be 3 signals appearing back to back to back. So the entry would be the 1, the continuation would be the 2, and then the pop for that like real payoff would be on the 3. So look at this, right? Playing out beautifully. Look, there's signal number 2. Look at this. Oh my gosh, there you go. Look at that, guys. Exactly what I said was going to happen. That it's going to push up to cross up first, to cross down to calibrate. Pay attention to those lines. They are money, y'all. Like, these lines are not just made up lines. They're specific for the levels. I see this happen over and over and over again, and I'm going to make sure I highlight this part because I said that this thing wants to pull up still, right? It's going to cross up because the 5-minute wants to cross up. It needs to calibrate to then cross down. There you go, right? That's how Maestradamus, right? That's how I can read the market the way I read it. So I hope everyone was able to track that, guys. It is 9:20, so we got about 5 minutes or so. Take a little break, go to the bathroom, go do what you got to do. Lock in for that morning show, right? We're now below the 236, right? But what do I want to see? I want to see the 5-minute close below 38. Okay, you want to see that 5-minute close below 38, and now you want to see it continue to go. It closed right at 39. Right, it's still a buy. It's still a sell signal to 5. Next, it would need a break right here. It would need a break 32, right? But ideally, you want to see it stay below 38. And look at that, right? This is why I want to see it stay below 38. Right now, it's just testing this area. I want to see it start breaking 32 if this thing is going to really start coming down. Obviously, if it can stay under the 2362 potential. Let's see what the 15-minute looks like before let me see what the 15-minute looks like. We got a we don't have a trifecta, we got the double fecta. Let me look at the 10 and the 15. Okay, the 10, if it can stay under 45, maybe. I mean, it's kind of funky looking. I don't like the way the 10, but I don't look at anything higher than the 5, or so it's just, I'm just curious because I have seen the quad fecta. Ooh, the 15-minute is trying to cross down. The 15-minute is trying to cross down, but again, I'm not a fan of looking at higher time frames because this could easily still challenge a lot of this. Still has 9 minutes left. So let's look at this to potentially stay underneath 50. Potentially, if it can stay underneath 50, right? You want to see this failed bullish move up here hold. That might line up with that 15-minute. We'll see. Again, I'm not a big fan of looking at the higher time frames, but I'll take a peek every once in a while just to take a peek. And then I'll kind of analyze it for notes on, okay, if the 15-minute did hold and did blah, 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 let me keep a note on it. All right, everybody. Enjoy your morning. Trade safe. Be patient, okay? I hope everyone got to learn something here. I don't know how many of you guys are still new to Quantum who got to join us for free, okay? Thank you guys for trying it out. If you're not going to renew, if you do choose to renew, right, you're going to see me again at least once a week. I'm always here answering questions. Check out my YouTube channel, right? These candles are pure guide. I'm always here ready to answer questions. I love to teach, right? I want everyone to find some form of consistency or success. That's the point of this whole thing, right? No guessing, no YOLOing, no disrespecting stop losses. This is about structure. It's about control. And it's about having fun. Like, for me, this is fun, right? I have something that gives me clear guidance. And I want trading to feel less stressful and less guessworky, right? I want there to be an opportunity for everyone. So enjoy the morning, guys. Make sure you guys tune into that morning show. Let's see what the market does. This is going to be interesting because this 5-minute, obviously, I want to see it hold below 50. I want to see it also stay below 56. But guess what, right? This pops over 56, right? She's still going to keep going up, right? She pops over 56. So I have that 5-minute purple up here. This is going to be my guide to see what it's going to do. So thank you all. Enjoy your morning. And I'll see you guys again maybe Sunday. Maybe Sunday, those of you who stick around, okay? Peace out, everybody. Or maybe, hey, you know what? I might do a back testing on Saturday. If I'm not doing anything early Saturday, I'm going to pop in and do another back testing with that 1 second thing. So, okay? We might see you Saturday morning again. So peace out, everybody.